I talked to a source of mine who told me that they call that place Dogman Hotel.
Okay, so this video is a little different than my normal content. Obviously, this isn't stealth camping or straight line mission related at all. This was just something that was brought to my attention that I felt like I needed to make a video on. So if you've heard of the show Expedition X with Josh Gates, he's pretty famous. He's got tons of other shows. I actually like a lot of his shows. This is not one that I've really ever watched much of. But like, yeah, anyway, I've watched a lot of other Josh Gates' stuff, and I actually really, really like it, and I think he presents it in a cool way. Now, he's only sort of tangentially related with this show. The two hosts are not him. But yeah, this one's all about cryptids and Bigfoot and stuff like that. And while I'm not dismissive of that stuff, I'm actually quite interested in that topic. I just can say that I've never had a paranormal experience of any kind. I've never seen a Bigfoot, never seen a Dogman, never seen an alien or a spaceship or anything like that. So while I'm one of these people who's like, yeah, this is super interesting, and I'm not ever going to tell someone that they didn't see something that they thought they saw, I just don't have any personal experience with something like that. And this show in particular, I listen to Sasquatch Chronicles, and I do like a lot of this content, but this show in particular is super fake, is super canned. The conversations that they have with each other are so obviously scripted. It's like one of the most cringeworthy things in the world. So I watched this one episode specifically because someone told me, hey, they went to that airport you were at. And I was like, oh, I'll have to check this out. And almost immediately as I was watching the episode, I was like, okay, I have to make a video about this because they're just straight up lying. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put in some short clips of the episode just so you can get the context. And then I'm going to talk about each clip, and we'll go from there.
You want to look for very strange structures out in the wilderness, things that are completely out of place and don't belong there. For example, just north of Reed City, you have the Miller Airport. Miller Airport is a huge facility. Reed City is a very small town with a very small population. It just doesn't make sense.
That's strange.
It's very strange, and it has a history of military involvement and operations that have taken place there. And it's right on the border of DNR property. So all of that makes it an extreme hotspot.
Okay, so let's start there with what he just said. Reed City is definitely a small town, but I mean, not that it was ever like some huge booming town or something like that, but what you have to remember is that Miller Airport was built in the 1950s. And in the 1950s and prior to that, the entire state of Michigan was a huge manufacturing hub, not only for the automotive industry, but all kinds of things. In World War II, we were building bombers and all kinds of stuff. So when a lot of those people came home from World War II, they came home and they built new companies. I don't know the specific history of Miller Industries, but what I can tell you is that in that area, there's lots of other manufacturing. We'll talk about that a little later when they actually get there and show the facility. But there are small towns all over Michigan, like Cadillac, and I mean even not as small places like Saginaw and Flint, like that only exist because of the auto industry and all the manufacturing in Michigan. So while Miller Airport may be in the middle of the nowhere now, there was a time when that whole area was very much up and coming. There was lots of manufacturing. There were all kinds of things going on there. So it's not as strange when you put it in context that there might be something like a small airport. And they make it seem like it's this massive, massive thing. You can watch my video that I did when I stayed there. And yeah, it's an airport. Is it a little bit weird at this point? Yeah, but it's not like it's Detroit Metro Airport sitting in the middle of nowhere or something like that. It's a small regional airport, which is not that weird. So, yeah, I just think they're being a bit disingenuous here and not giving you the full context. But yeah, we'll move on to the next clip and we'll talk about that a little more.
After learning about Miller Airport, I researched its location. It sits on the outskirts of Manistee National Forest, about 2 miles north of Reed City. The airport was built in the 50s by local manufacturer Miller Industries, its huge size far exceeding the needs of the small local population. And strangely, there are very few flights ever recorded as taking off from the facility, and it now appears to have been completely abandoned. Stranger still, locals report seeing a military presence here on multiple occasions. There is no public information on what they were doing here, which only fuels the conspiracy theories.
Okay, so she does a brief history there of Miller Airport. And I'm not saying that they're lying to you. They're lying through omission. Because she gives you this really brief cut down history and makes it seem like that's all the information that's available. Well, I'm about to give you a whole bunch more context and information that they don't give you. So she says that, oh, it's this little airport, built in the middle of nowhere, and it's way bigger than it needs to be, and it doesn't make any sense. And there's no history there's very little history of flights ever coming in and out of there. And again, that is true of the last maybe like 20 or 30 years because it's been abandoned since the 1980s. But I'll give you the quick rundown here of the history of this place. It was built, so originally Miller Industries built an airstrip that had to get moved because they expanded US 131. So when they rebuilt it, they decided to build it way bigger and cooler basically to impress their customers. Miller Industries made storefronts, so aluminum extrusions and glass and all that stuff, which you can see in the clips there that they showed. You can see it in my video. It basically looks like a grocery store front, and that was the point. It was there so that when they flew customers in there from various areas like Chicago and regional stuff like that, that it would be impressive and they could give an easy example of what they might, what their customers were going to get, basically. And so when they say that, oh, it's too big to accommodate the size of the town, it's not what it was built for. It was built as a corporate airport to fly in customers and things like that. So the size of the town really doesn't matter. Wherever you built your manufacturing facility, that's where you were going to need your airport to fly people in. And so it was also built as their corporate event center. So it was designed to house about 1,200 people. So all the employees and their families and everything like that could come there. And there's a stage up there for them to host events and everything like that, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So there were a bunch of reasons why they built this the way they did and why it was that big. And they don't tell you any of that so they can make it seem mysterious. And then they keep talking about this military presence, which I can't find any evidence for that the military ever did anything with Miller Airport. So anyone saying that is just some guy saying that he saw the military there one time or something. Yeah, that's all it really is. So then just a quick breakdown of the rest of the history. So they say that, no record of flights and stuff like that. But in 1960, North Central Airlines provided service to this airport from Chicago as a route to get to Traverse City. So yes, flights came in and out of this airport. And they stopped that service in 1966, at which point Miller Industries started doing their own air service, where they flew people from Chicago and they flew people to Cadillac and Ludington, because these were these small towns in the 50s and 60s that were, are the middle of nowhere now, but had the auto industry not sort of collapsed and the manufacturing collapsed in the 70s and things like that, these might be big cities today. We don't know. This context, you have to go back to when it was actually functioning in order to understand this. So then just quickly to wrap up, basically, in the 1970s, auto industry was going down, the Japanese car manufacturers were coming on. So manufacturing in general, including in Miller Industries, in Michigan all over, was kind of, going down. So basically the airport started to decline. Miller Industries tried to actually sell it to the city for $1. And Reed City said, no, we don't want it because we don't want to have to upkeep it and operate it and all that kind of stuff. So basically it sat there until 1979 when this company called, I don't want to say this wrong, company called Nartran Corporation bought it, and they make electronics for the auto industry. And yeah, basically they used the buildings, the terminal building and the hangar building, as their base of operations. They used it for manufacturing and engineering and research and development and all that stuff into the late 1980s, at which point they built their own buildings on the same like plot of land. It's like, I don't know, a mile or so to the north of where those buildings are, and that's where they do their manufacturing now. So, yeah, there's no military anything. It's not really mysterious. It was a small airport built to service Miller Industries, and then it was used for some manufacturing, some other stuff. And planes apparently still land there sometimes today. So, yeah, it is in the middle of nowhere, but the history is not that weird, and they're trying to make it seem way more mysterious than it actually is, and that's my point.
Is the idea here then that this airport is or was a front for some sort of Dogman training facility?
That's exactly what he thinks.
Wow.
I mean, it matches the description. Big facility, small town.
Middle of nowhere.
Check, check, and check.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm not saying this is a secret government Dogman training facility, but this is definitely out of place.
Okay, I'm not even really sure I need to comment on the secret Dogman government training facility comments here, but like I just gave you the whole history of the place. There were flights landing there from Chicago and stuff. There was electronics manufacturing happening in there by Nartran Industries. Pretty sure those guys would have noticed had the government been training secret genetic dogmen in there. So this is all just nonsense and ridiculous, and the hosts of the show know it. That's the really annoying part here, is if you want to play something up a little bit for television, like, I get it. You're trying to make an interesting TV show, but you're just lying, because it would take you 30 seconds to Google this information and know that, you know, what you're saying is complete nonsense. You could just say, you don't have to make up some crazy military history of it. You could just say, hey, it's an abandoned building on the edge of a whole bunch of DNR land, and people say they see Dogman here. And then just go investigate inside of it. You don't have to pretend like it's, you know. Anyway, my point is just that obviously this is nonsense. So let's just move on.
This room is huge.
It is huge.
We need to stop thinking about this place as Miller Airport and start thinking of it as a government facility. I think that's the only way we're going to figure out any secrets it may hold.
Yeah, so I mean, basically what she said there was we need to stop thinking about this as it is and start thinking about this as the made-up thing that we decided that it is. Again, there's a very, very clear history of this airport. It was not a government facility at any point. So, no, you don't need to think of it that way. You can just think of it as Miller Airport, because that's what it was.
Well, sure looks like they tried to scrub all the secrets they could out of this place.
Wouldn't you do that if you were trying to cover something up?
Yeah, I guess you would. All right, you take that area, I'll take this side.
Yeah.
And oh my God, they tried to scrub all the secrets out of this place. Oh, look at it. It's an abandoned airport. It's literally been abandoned since the 1980s. That's at this point like 30 years ago. So yeah, it's been vandalized by teenagers for the last 30 years, which is why it's covered in spray paint that says ACAB and stuff. Okay, this is not like if the government wanted to cover this up, they would have just bulldozed the whole thing. Why would they spray paint it and smash all the windows? Like, this is just so ridiculous. I can't even. I know you should expect stuff like this from TV shows like this, but it's still just, I don't know. I don't know why it bothers me, but it does.
I do not know why there'd be these bunkers built into this place. A lot of it is just plain weird.
You see anything?
Oh, look, Heather.
Oh,
It was
no
there.
way. Chain and padlock. What needs to be chained down here?
I don't know. Why would you chain it to a pipe like that, though? Oh, it keeps going further back. Whoa, there's a whole room back here. Holy Heather, get back here.
Okay, I'm coming. Whoa.
Should we see where this door leads?
Definitely.
Whoa. Okay.
All right, so here's the part where they get to the stage, but they don't tell you it's a stage, and you get like one shot where you could, like a very quick shot where you could maybe see that that's what it is, but they don't tell you, right? So then they go into these storage areas and they start saying, oh, look at this. This could be where they chained up a Dogman. Oh, why would you ever need these He literally calls them bunkers, okay? Whereas if you just filmed it from the outside, you would see, oh, this is a stage. Like I showed it in my video. There's parquet flooring and stuff. You can see the curtains in their own video. They're all torn up and stuff, but like they're the curtains for the stage. That's where they held their corporate events. That's where they did all that stuff. And those areas that they're saying are bunkers, they're literally just storage underneath the stage. They're storage for things like lighting and sound equipment and stuff like that. Like, yes, they're built out of concrete blocks, but like that's just a convenient building material. Plus, you need to support the stage that's on top of you where lots of people are going to be standing and stuff. So it has to be able to support that, which is also probably why they built it out of concrete block. And then they see this chain attached to a pipe and they're just like, oh, maybe they chained up a Dogman down here. And it's like, are you serious? It's just a chain on a pipe. That, like, there could be a billion reasons why there's a chain right there that aren't Dogman related. Anyway, yeah, and then they crawl through the back and they act like, oh, look, there's a secret extra room back here or something like that. It's not. If you just go to the right of the stage and go through the door, there's like a bathroom on your left, and then you keep going, and there's a big back room, and then, again, I don't know what that equipment is. I'm not an airport expert. It looks like some giant, I don't know, pump system, maybe for fuel or something. I have no idea. But either way, it's not a secret room or anything like that. It's not weird, is my point. It's pretty just standard.
Whoa. You can see in every direction.
Let's get our bearings up here. So over there, that's the lake we walked by to make our way over.
Yeah, that's the runway.
And then that must be the aircraft hangar right there.
Yeah. And that means that this is the DNR property.
All that over there?
Yeah. We should check. Oh! What the was that? Shh. I think I just saw something.
Let's see if we can get a heat signature. Okay. Look at this. Come here. That right there.
Is that an animal?
I cannot tell because it kind of matches that outside. Oh, it just moved. Holy, it's moving.
What is that? What is that?
Light it up. You seen anything? Yeah, we need to get over there. Let's go.
Okay.
All right, and then there's this clip of them up in the tower shining their light around, and then they see something in the other building. You know, I can't really comment on that. Thermal imaging can be deceiving sometimes. That whatever they saw could be way smaller than it looked on TV, or it could literally just be one of the producers walking through the building in order to create interesting television, which is probably the more likely scenario. Just gonna put that out there.
Right over here. This is where I would have been. Hello? See that pipe back there? It's still swinging.
Oh God, you're right.
Which means it either ran outside or it pushed further back into this building.
Why would you abandon all of this?
And then they walk into the other building to try and find whatever was in there or whatever. And they talk about how, oh, who would abandon all this stuff? And I mean, that's kind of true. There is some interesting stuff in there. But again, it was used as an electronics manufacturing facility. So there's all kinds of crap in there, which they, again, never show you. But there's when in my video, well, I actually don't remember whether I showed some of this or not, because obviously I edited it down. But there is tons of just like detritus and stuff in there. Plastic pieces and stuff like that from the electronics manufacturing process all over the place. So it's very obvious if you just look. They just choose not to show you that part because they want you to think it's something that it's not.
Whoa, look at this door.
Yeah. One right here. A lot of claw marks right there. Oh, yeah, that is deep. That is deep.
Couch.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why, though?
The door split. Maybe something was trying to get out.
This place is getting more interesting.
Yeah.
The further we get in.
Okay, and then there's this stupid clip of him claiming that there's claw marks on this door when it's very clearly like marks from a crowbar or something. They don't look like claw marks at all. Like, period, they do not look like claw marks in any way, shape, or form. I don't know. I don't really know what else to say about this clip. It's just nonsense.
I mean, it looks human-sized, but just...
Is that chain just looped around that post there?
Oh, and that chain's right there. What is that doing there?
Whoa, look at this. I mean, that's heavy. If I wanted to keep something locked up and not moving, a giant concrete block is a good way to do it.
Yeah, what is that doing in here? There's something about this room that just doesn't add up.
Yeah.
Between that, this print, whatever that is. So, I have luminol in my bag. I say we spray this place down and see if we can find any evidence of what used to be in here.
Whoa.
Right here, right here. Look at that. Look at that glow.
Is that blood?
That is a huge blood stain on this wall. Look at that. Wow.
All right, and then we get to what is probably the stupidest part in this entire episode. They get all the way to the back of the building in this back room, and then they just start speculating wildly about a whole bunch of stuff. There's some marks in the dust on this shelf that they claim are like, oh, it's a weird looking handprint. Maybe it's a Dogman print. And like, I don't even know that it actually is a handprint, but if it is, it's probably yours. Like, because it doesn't look that old if it is. And then, oh, look, there's a chain wrapped around this shelf. Again, implying that there's like a Dogman chained up in there or something with this old rusty chain. And like, again, if you're claiming that it was, I don't know, you're claiming that it was a government Dogman training facility and they just had Dogman chained to a random wooden shelf in the back. Right. And then the chick looks down and there's this concrete block and, oh, look at this. If I wanted to keep something down, I would chain them to this concrete block. And it's this like, it's like a small round concrete block that probably weighs, I don't know, 15, 20 pounds, at the most. And it's like, okay, if that little concrete block is enough to stop Dogman, then I don't think I'm that worried about Dogman, if I'm honest. Like, and so they do all that, and then the actual stupidest thing in the entire episode happens, where he pulls out his bottle of luminol, and he's going to spray the wall and look for blood stains, and he sprays down the wall, and oh look, there's blood stains all over the wall, and I mean, they even tell you in the episode that what luminol does is react to the iron in the hemoglobin in blood, right? So that means that anything that is iron potentially could cause it to react. And I actually looked this up after I heard that, because again, let me reiterate, this place was used to manufacture electronics. Okay, one of the major chemicals that's often used in electronics manufacturing is ferric chloride, which they use to etch circuit boards and all kinds of things. And I looked it up just to be sure. Ferric chloride reacts to luminol because ferric, it's iron-based. Okay, so what you did there was just complete nonsense. It's not blood. It could be rust. He even says, oh, look, there's rust on the wall here. Okay, well, then that's why it's reacting. Could be ferric chloride. Could be all kinds of things that they used to manufacture electronics. The least likely is that the wall is covered in blood. That's, in fact, the absolute least likely scenario. So the whole thing is just such nonsense.
What was that? What?
Look, right there. That is a big dog print.
Yeah, and it looks like it's pointing out.
Oh my God.
That's a dead deer.
Holy. Oh my God. Something's been eating this. You can see a lot of the bone has been chewed on right there. There's still a lot of meat on this, meaning whatever.
Could come back.
Yep.
Lord Jesus.
I've never seen anything like this. This is crazy.
So then, whatever classic horror show, Bigfoot, show, whatever, they hear a noise, oh my God, and then they chase it out and they vaguely zoom in on something in the insulation of the ground that vaguely looks like maybe a dog print, maybe. And again, I have at this point, you've lied and done all this nonsense so much that even if you did show me a giant dog print, I have zero confidence that you didn't just put it there yourself, right? So then they go out and they find a dead deer, which this guy is acting like, I've never seen this before in my life. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. You ever seen a dead deer before? Like, have you driven down the freeway ever in your life? He's like, oh, something's been eating it. Like, yeah, of course, it's a dead deer on the edge of the woods. Doesn't mean Dogman was eating it. Like, it's just so stupid. And then, they're looking at these woods, and again, what they don't tell you is that that is a small strip of woods, the area where they are. Like, again, I was there. I went out that same door that they went out that faces the runway, and then across the runway is a small strip of woods that on the other side of it are several other manufacturing places. There's like a machine shop and a place that does, I think, like fur tanning or something like that. So it's not, I don't know, it's not that weird. All the DNR land and stuff that they talk about is actually on the other side of the airport. So it's just all of it is so predictable and ridiculous. So anyway, yeah, that's my take on this whole Miller Airport Dogman business. They were extremely disingenuous. Like, if I'm being generous, they were disingenuous. If I'm being less generous, they straight up just lied the whole time, and they knew exactly what they were doing, and just to deceive their audience and to try to trump this up into something that it isn't. I was there. I did not see a Dogman. I never experienced anything odd that was there. And like I said, I'm telling you right now, they only give you like 1% of the information about this place and intentionally withhold the rest of it in order to make it seem spooky. So yeah, that's my take on it. If this is interesting to you, like, share, subscribe. This is kind of different than my normal content, but since I was just there and I had no idea they had been there, and this episode literally came out on October 2nd. It's October 10th right now. And like I said before, I don't even watch this show. My buddy was just like, hey, Expedition X just went to that airport that you went to. And I was like, oh, that's pretty crazy. And I watched the episode and I was like, wow, this is super cringy. And I need to make a video talking about how stupid this is. So anyway, if you enjoyed this, you can go check out my last video about checking out the airport if you want to see more about it. Other than that, like, share, subscribe, and keep it here. I've got a disappointing straight line mission video coming up for you, and maybe some more stealth camping. So, yep, take it easy, guys.